everyone, and thank you again for coming to Cycles of Faith TV show. We are exclusively on the Faith Unveiled Network, and we appreciate your attendance as always. Our viewership is climbing, so yay for that, and thank you for all the viewers who come on to watch this. We have another great guest today that I'm going to introduce. I would like to read a little bit of bio of him and then introduce him. So let's get going. This person, this man, he has been a comedian for over 25 years. He was uprooted from Kuwait and to attend college in Toledo, Ohio. We're going to have to find out why Toledo. He asked himself one day, what would he love to do without ever getting paid for it and still be the best he can be at it? Well, the next day he signed up at the California Comedy Club Mike Night. And apparently he was pretty good. He recalls one lady or one person who laughed so hard she fell out of her chair. So this is good and exciting. You've seen our guest on places all over the world, in churches and arenas, concert halls, the Grand Ole Opry, 700 Club. He goes to prisons to put a smile on prisoners' faces. You've seen him on this Comedy Central, NBC, ABC. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest, Nazareth. Brother, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, doing good, trying to cope through this virus that we have going on.
Yes, I looked at the picture behind you. It looks like there's like a blue, and I forgot. What is that? I remember that before the sheltering.
Yeah.
It's an ocean, right?
A picture of Crescent Bay in Laguna Beach.
Oh, the ocean. Yeah, I remember the ocean. Yeah, I remember that?
Yeah.
When we used to come out, and now we're like in a, you know what, I believe that Americans used to be in a big mansion, in a big ranch, living in a single, as a family. And now we all moved into tract homes with a homeowners association that's telling us when to leave the house, how far the trash cans have to be 6 feet apart, and who, the playground, when the playground's going to open, and all that.
Yeah,
Doesn't
isn't that
it feel
amazing?
like that?
And we actually pay to do that.
I know.
We actually pay them to do it.
I know. And the funny thing is, I live in Corona, California. People don't believe that. In the last 14 years, I lived in Corona, California.
Wow.
But Corona does not live in us, so we're doing good.
Yeah, good. So you guys are the ones who started the virus then.
Yeah, I think us or the Corona beer or we can't say it's a Chinese, God forbid. Of course not. But you know what? It's funny. A little correction in the beginning. I actually was born in the Holy Land in Nazareth, Israel.
Okay, thank you.
When I was 3, I moved to Kuwait because my family moved for work, and we moved to Kuwait. And then when I finished high school, and after that, I moved to Toledo, Ohio. And you asked why Toledo? Well, I'll tell you what, my parents wanted me to, I was approved by 3 universities. I think it was USC in California, it was New York State, and University of Toledo. And my parents said, you know what, if we send him to New York or LA, he's gonna get into drugs and alcohol, so let's send him to Toledo. And the second day, I got into drugs and alcohol in Toledo, Ohio. For Christ. BC. Yeah. BC used to mean before Christ. Now BC means before coronavirus.
There you go. I remember, I was born and raised in Texas, San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, I love that. Well, yeah. The river.
Absolutely. So when I moved here, I got the warning too. Please don't move to California. It's nothing but evil people who live there, and you're going to turn into this evil person, and you're going to be influenced by evil. So it's kind of funny how the world sees California.
I know. We stopped the virus. So we're not. We controlled it better than others, so that's a good thing. Gotta give us that. Even the viruses are scared of California. How about that?
Yeah. So tell us about this day that you asked yourself that what would you like to do, and you ended up getting into the California Comedy Club. So I'm assuming that you just were a jokester your whole life.
You know what? I use humor for different reasons. Now, to avoid bullying, to living in Kuwait. I was a Christian living in a Muslim country, considered a foreigner, an immigrant there. So I use comedy to kind of, just get out of troubles and get out of bullying and get out. But I don't know. I remember when I was 3 years old, my mom didn't like our relatives, so she would send me out and said, "Hey, go talk to them, go tell them jokes." And I would go and tell them jokes, and she would pay me. So I was getting paid for comedy when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
So it's been, but well, I went to Toledo, Ohio. My parents moved to the U.S., so we moved to California, and I got several jobs and tax accounting and others. And I ended up, deciding I want to run a marathon. I was not a believer yet. So what happened is I said, okay, I'm going to run 2 miles this year, and then next year I run 2, the next year I run 2. So I went for the day before. They called it the carbo load. So I went there to, to have the carbs at the Civic Center in Los Angeles the night before. And Muhammad Ali, the boxer, was there. And he looks at me, grabs my hand, and he goes, "You're going to finish this, right?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." He goes, "You better finish it." I said, "I will." And then the next day, I'm like, "Oh, no, I promised this, Muhammad Ali, I'm going to run this." So I was smoking my last cigarette and all that. And I said, "I'm going to run 2, 3, 4, 5 and see what I can do." And I kept running. And, I was at 5 miles, my lungs almost gave up. And then my feet gave up. And I just kept doing it. I got to the 20-mile run. And then this homeless lady, she goes, "Honey, you can't stop now. I was almost there." And I finished it. And my feet were burning, bleeding. My toes didn't even want to look at me. And I said, I was so high from the run. It's a higher run than any drugs I've ever taken in my life. I said, what do I want to do in life that if I never get paid for it, I will do it to the best of my ability, and making people laugh or seeing people
Wow.
laugh is what I'm, some comedians want to make people laugh to feel like, hey, I'm funny. To me, the joy of hearing someone laugh, that's my thing. Because like right now when we do an event, like sometimes I do a stadium or an arena, and there's like hundreds of people in line to sign an autograph or to shake your hand and all that. And every 10 of them, there's someone who wants to tell you a joke. And the joke's probably, I heard it a million times.
Yeah.
I would act like I've never heard it. I would laugh like
Wow.
because for that moment, that person forgot about his or her problems and is trying to make me laugh. And what an honor for that to do that. So that's what I wanted to do.
That's a great reasoning. Yeah. That's very honorable to do that.
Yeah. So, and then after 3 years from doing comedy, everything was happening fast. I became one of the new faces at one of the top clubs called the Improv Comedy Clubs. And then I had management right away. And they got to the point where I was working with Chris Rock and Adam Sandler and Kevin James. And then my management was saying, hey, NBC is looking at this show called Fish Out of Water, Middle Eastern Man in America. And everything was great. And, drugs were great. Alcohol was great. The fame was happening. The money was coming. And then a comedian invited me to church. And I walked into a Southern Baptist church in California. And I thought to my life, I said, God is so angry at me. I need to come here 200 times to get him to even look at me. And that day I knew God loves me. He had a plan for my life. And you know what? I found exactly what I was looking for. So I called my management. I said, I'm quitting. This is it. I don't want to do comedy anymore.
Wow.
My manager thought he thought I'm lying to him. He's like, you're going with a different. I said, trust me, I'm quitting. And after I don't know how many 250 F words, he was convinced. I quit. And I quit. I literally quit. A week later, my pastor comes to me and he goes, hey, we know you're a professional comedian. Why can't you do something for church? I'm like, that's from the devil. How can you do comedy in church? And he goes, no. God created humor. Satan perverted it. And he said, you can use it for his glory. And so we decided to do a small show at 200 member church on the record.
Wow.
Their books. It wasn't like 200 people showing up every week, but 400 people showed up uninvited. That night, a deacon prayed for me and said, Lord, use this man for your kingdom. And I knew right away that this is Paul I knew that God wanted me to use my comedy to either, number one, bring people to the kingdom, number two, encourage believers. And I've been doing that for the last, since 27 years.
Wow, 27 years. Still
And
making people laugh. That's awesome.
still, yeah.
Yeah. So with the coronavirus, now everybody can find you on Facebook, and we'll have your Facebook link at the bottom of the screen. Uh, what I pulled on, I follow you on Facebook, and all of a sudden I see on my wall this Nazareth doing little things on Facebook Live. Is that keeping you busy, and how's it going with the coronavirus going on with lockdown and what have you?
Well, what happened is when this happened, we, found that I had things going. For, number one, I had a podcast called Laughter for All podcast. So we had the cameras, the high-end cameras. We had the lights. We have the studio in the house. We put a studio in the house. And I'm going, okay, my son, who just graduated from Biola University in December as a filmmaker, director. So I'm going, okay, God, this is the right timing. I said, there's so many people who are anxious and depressed. What can I do to relieve it for them for even an hour a day? And, for me to go up and just do comedy like that, which now a lot of companies and churches are calling me to do Zoom and do comedy with them, which is good to make them laugh.
Yeah.
But the show is about, okay, I think the only way for people to forget about their problem is if they're thinking funny stuff, if they want to think funny. So we started a show called Laugh with Nas Quarantining in Corona. And the whole idea of the show, I'll start up with some joke and then ask a question. Like, what would be the worst name for a plumbing service or something? We normally don't go in that, toilet. And what would be the worst name for this? What is one item you want to take with you to heaven? If you have to take one item to heaven with you, what would it be? Stuff like that. If how do you describe your quarantining in a song or something? And people are coming, regular people who never done comedy are coming with the funniest thing. And so it takes a lot of time, Paul. It takes me like 4 hours a day to prepare for the show. And, just to get everything right and all that. And then we said, after a while, we started with 1,000 viewers and then it went down, then went up. And we're thinking like, this is taking a lot of time. And then I started getting emails from people who said, you know what? I'm so depressed. This is the only relief for me all day. I had people, Paul, one day, it was my wife's birthday and I felt guilty doing so. So I didn't tell the people because we only take Sunday off. And it's every day at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. So I said, we're going to take it. So me and my wife we took a takeout dinner and we're sitting and I'm looking at my phone and all these people that watch every day, they're talking to us, man, I don't know what to do today. I'm bummed. I'm really can't wait.
Wow.
And it was, so I said, you know what, Lord, if there's one person that's going to watch it and it's going to relieve their anxiety and stress, because we always end the show with prayer. And then we end up the show after that, I do some encouragement. And 2 days ago, we prayed for a 2-year-old kid that was lost in the forest in Oklahoma. And his mom was a friend of one of the people who are watching. And she goes, please pray for Clara or something. And the mom, her son was lost in the forest. And everybody started praying. And we do that every day.
Wow.
Next morning, they found the child, no problems. This is yesterday, if you look in the news. So stuff like that, where you feel there's a family. We call it family. And everyone who joined us, hey, welcome to the family. Tell us where you're from. We're trying to connect some single people to meet each other. Someone had a business like a Chick-fil-A in Wisconsin, found out that there's a couple people on the show that live next to them. They go, hey, we're going to come to your Chick-fil-A because why not? You're a friend, you're a believer. So it's really good. I love it.
That's awesome.
There's no money in it, but it's.
You're connecting people. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're connecting people.
I remember the first show that I got on Facebook Live. Your question was, what is the worst name for a tattoo parlor?
And what did you come up with?
Mine was Shared Needles Tattoo.
See, that's it. That's the whole show. Yesterday, I was dying. I said, what is the worst name for a plumbing service? And the first, Farrah Fawcett was the name. And I died. I literally could not continue. Someone said Wet and Wild, stuff like that. It's just so funny. And that's the whole goal, to see people laughing. And
yeah.
And then I had a podcast, like this last week, I had Mark Lowry on the show. And then the week before I had Shonda Pierce on it. And I
Yeah.
tried to bring more comedians and people who can be helpful to the viewers. So really, it's bringing a lot of content. Now, all my shows were canceled until end of August. So
Right.
God is good. We're sustained, until it feels like we're all in a room and the governor holding the door and asking everyone, what do you do? I'm a doctor. Okay, you can go out. You're not essential. Go back and sit down. Or go Zoom. Well, I don't have anybody Zoom. Don't worry, the government will pay you. Yeah, isn't it weird? Like we used to pray. I'm sure there were people praying, Paul, Lord, I'm so busy with work. Oh, I would love to have time where I can just sit home, do nothing, spend time with my kids where they don't have to go to school. And guess what? I can even work from home, or the government can maybe pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. This is happening. Our prayer is being answered.
Yeah, be careful. Yeah, be careful what you pray for.
Yes, exactly.
We need to ask him to revert the prayer and pray something different now.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we're watching. I truly believe God is allowing this. I don't believe God caused this, but He allowed it. So many more people are watching churches online right now. Churches are thriving. And I was thinking the other day, I said, maybe we should change church's name to fit their online presence, like the church, the Slow Connection Church of Christ, or Zoom Time Lutheran, or what do you call it? What would be the 6 feet of separation Presbyterian Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Non-Essential Saints, Chapel of the Sheltered Brethren, or Faith Baptist Couch of Corona, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we thank you for keeping us laughing during this virus and during this lockdown. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity that's coming out of this because child abuse has gone up, spousal abuse has gone up, alcoholism has gone up. So we need you, Nazareth. We need you on the airwaves, and we need you spreading the message of hope through comedy. And so it's an awesome thing to do.
I'd love that. I'm always praying, Lord, how can you use me in such a time as this? I truly believe this is a great time for believers to shine and show the true peace, that Christ gave us. And, it's a great time for couples, to get to spend time with your wife and your kids. And, we're all in this together. I mean, I don't know why someone would become abusive or just have fight. Someone said there's a lot of divorces going to come out of this. I said, no, I think there's a lot of strong marriages, even more babies will be born.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their names will be different than normal. They're going to reflect, like, you're going to have babies like Homies, Quarantino, Charmin, Influenza.
We're going to have a whole new generation of baby boomers part 2.
Yes, baby boomers part 2. Like ventilator and sanitizer, stuff like that. But I think, we are. I think we all needed this because our kids now, like, our parents had the Depression and they had, we didn't have something. They had World War I and World War II. We didn't have anything. We had 9/11, and that was, that was sad, but it wasn't that huge to where, like, we tell our kids, I survived. Now we have something to talk about. Hey, listen, tell your grandkids, I survived the quarantining, the pandemic.
Yeah, with you in the house.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, the children will have new stories instead of, our story was we had to walk a mile uphill in snow, 3 foot deep just to get to school. And our kid will say, I had to walk clear across the living room to get to school.
That's right. I had to look at my parents, whatever. Yeah. My kids are used to it because we raised them, they like, Dad, this is not new. We're used to being home because we're like, Dad, no, you can't go here. You can't go there. Stay home.
Right,
so now, like, here, see, are you happy now?
Yeah. So you're locked up. Rather your tours are postponed to August.
Till end of August. Yeah, we started a ministry, Paul, 7 years ago called Laughter for All, and our goal was to be able to do comedy in stadiums and sports arenas where we allow the most number of people who normally cannot afford to go to a concert, who cannot take their family to 4 or 5 members of their family and pay 20 or 30 bucks a ticket.
Right.
So we started doing it for free. And actually, in the beginning of our stadium events, we used to give 1,000 bags of food and 1,000 toys. And so the goal from these shows is to be able to bring people to laugh for 2 hours. And I brought people like Kristen Lewis and Jackie Velasquez and all that to sing. And then at the end, we have local pastors on the field praying with people who come forward after I give the invitation. That's and great. Then connect them with churches. So we started doing that. And 2 years ago, God put it in our hearts to say, what about California? Because if we can change California, we can change the nation. So we started this campaign to where all our events, like we do 7 large events every year, starting in San Diego and ending in Sacramento in these large cities. And the goal is to have 1,000 people at each show at least to make commitment to share Jesus with 7 people. And the first 2 years, everything's great. And this year we planned them, and boom, the whole coronavirus happened. So we're in pause. We're not ending anything, but we're in pause right now. So God is going to do something. A lot of people are going to start, looking to God after this. That's my
absolutely. It's a great thing. Comedy with a mission, a godly mission.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
an awesome thing to do. That's an awesome thing to do. I would like to say we got about 5 minutes left, and I'd like to just set you free in the last 3 or 4 minutes. But hopefully, hopefully I can announce this, that we may be seeing you on the Faith Unveiled Network.
I hope so.
On a regular basis.
We're editing. We're putting. We're trying to edit to do some snippets. We also have. We have 2-hour crusades that we do at the Laughter for All of the stadium events. That we have the footage that we never gave it to anybody. We were going to sell it to networks, but then we figured, you know what? This is the time we let people use it for free. Actually, some of my shows, my full concert, I put them out for free because I think this is the time where people really need to be laughing and encouraged. So people can go to Comedian Nazareth TV on YouTube, and they can watch those for free. And also they can come to our the Facebook live show every night at 8:30 p.m. and just laugh with us and just have a blast with us every night.
Absolutely. That's a great thing.
I also wrote a book called Hope in 24 Hours. And I wrote this book 2 years ago, and it says your situation can change for the better. Or, sometimes people, whenever they go, like, let's say they lost their job and they're going, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to get worse. I'm going to lose the house. We're going to file bankruptcy. We're going to not have any money for retirement. And you start putting all the scenarios. And this book is all about, like, can you add one more scenario? Maybe God can come through in the last minute and have something, a better scenario, if it's His will. Right. Like, I was single. 24 hours later, I was planning a wedding. I saw my wife I asked her to marry me the day I saw her. And after being 33, I was like, my clock is ticking. It's going to take years to get to meet someone and know them. And boom, Sarah, I saw her 5 days later. We were engaged. A year later, we got married. Throughout, there's so many stories in the book about how in 2007, I almost lost my house, and someone out of the blue sent me a check that covered all the debt to the bank and cut me. It was over $70,000. Just
praise God.
So stuff like that, I want to tell people to encourage. And I want to encourage people, if they're watching right now and go, you know what, I lost my job, or I'm going to lose my job, or my work was cut. Many years ago, I was doing tax accounting for a big firm, restaurant companies. They own Coco's and Caro's and Charlie Brown, all these big restaurants at the time, and El Torito's. And I was employee of the month every month, doing taxes. And my controller at the company, the boss, he said, Nazareth, I don't know what happened, but upper management laying you off. I'm like, why? He goes, I don't know. And he was almost in tears. He said, you're awesome. We love you. And I said, you know what? I've been praying for God to be a comedian. And I didn't have the guts to go do that. And they said, we'll pay you 6 months severance pay. And that was exactly what I needed.
Wow.
And I'm so glad I did. So I'm so glad they laid me off. I'm so glad that job ended. And I want to encourage everyone who's watching right now. If you lost your job, just thank God for it, because He has something better for you. Your employer does not pay you. God always takes care of you financially. Amen. You're a testament to that.
It only takes one yes from God. Amen. Always look for that yes.
Amen.
Always
Amen.
look for that. Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you for what you do and all this work. And it's a lot of work to put a network and to do all these shows. But thank you for what you do. That's
My pleasure. It's God spoke to me to do this about 4.5 years ago, and I was just the guy who said, "Okay, let's do it." It was just obedience. Obedience. That's what
maybe
God looks for, is obedience.
maybe for this time.
Yeah.
This is time for people to watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Now, you brought your book up. We'll throw it on the screen. I'll get a digital copy and throw it on the screen. Where do we get your book from?
You can go to my website, comediannazareth.com.
Okay.
comediannazareth.com or nazarethusa.com, whatever, and then you can go to the store and buy it. But if your listeners really, they go, I don't have the money right now. If they can send me a message, I will send them the digital copy for free. I would love to do that. If they don't have the money, they need to be encouraged to do it. If they have the money to buy one for each member of their staff or a relative, it will really encourage their socks off. That's fine. But if you want to email me, okay, if you can email me at naz@nazarethusa or go to nazarethusa.com, you message me there, I will send you, I would love to send you a PDF copy of the book.
Awesome.
Or if you want to buy it there, you can go to the store there and buy it.
All right, we'll have all the information at the bottom of the screen. We got about a minute left. What is your encouraging comedy words that you would like to tell all the viewers around the world?
All right, in 1 minute? Okay.
A minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Well, I wanna encourage the listeners right now. You know, I did a message once. I'm also an ordained pastor. I teach. There was a message I taught once. I said, when the unexpected takes longer than expected. When the unexpected takes longer than expected. Sometimes, you know, especially for men, I'm talking to the men right now. You have a big ego. Sometimes you're in need. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you need food, and you have too much of an ego to ask or to go to the food bank or to a food place where they're distributing. Or there's places where people at churches are a pantry, or they're handing some kind of clothes or money or something. You know what? Just put your ego aside for this time if you're really hurting. But 11 years ago, I started a ministry for refugees called The Voice of Refugees. And in the last, since the pandemic began, we've been feeding over 1,000 people every week. And you know what? Some people have ego, and we go, just call us, just ask, let's say, I need some food for my kids, and we'll deliver it to you. And you'll be surprised how many people will not ask. It's sad. You know, so that's what I encourage. Put your ego aside. This is the time. Don't question God. Don't blame God for this pandemic. It could be the best thing that ever happened.
Absolutely. Nazareth, we appreciate you so much for coming on to the show. We're going to look forward to seeing you on the Faith Unveiled Network. Please come back again anytime you'd like. And again, thank you so much. And thank you, viewers, for watching us. And I'm sure you enjoyed Nazareth. Contact them, get his book, and have a great time in life and laugh. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it.